For this lecture, we'll start to look at the decisive moments, those moments that we want to capture in a photograph, whether it be kind of an action shot or something that just looks interesting. Some of the times it's sort of capturing uh, that moment. Um, so just kind of looking over some of the cameras here. Um, the glass plate camera that a lot of the earlier portraits and some of the that one's actually a medium format, but some of the large format cameras like Ansel Adams and O'Sullivan used, pretty similar to that. And then next to that, the Kodak cameras, where film is in roll form that you would load into these. So much more portable and easier to use. Plus, you also have the ability to take multiple pictures as opposed to with the glass plate camera, just taking one image at a time. With the film cameras with a roll, you're able to take multiple pictures before you run out of film. And then the Leica down there at the bottom, it becomes quite popular just because of the optics. It's kind of simple to use. Uh, so, so if you remember the Paul strand compared to the Andre carats, so the Paul strands from the L, uh, carats, shadow of Eiffel Tower, um, where it's both are capturing the shadows and capturing these time of days, but the Paul Strand is almost like he's trying to hide the figures in the dark shadow areas. I would imagine he probably would have preferred them not to be in at all, but big touristy spot, probably hard to take a photo without people in it. Uh, the carrots, he is more about that time of day and just sort of the shadow and the effect of everything that's going on. One of his others, Moudon Paris, just one of the neighborhoods in Paris, where there's kind of a lot of action going on, where we have the one man carrying it's actually a painting that's wrapped in paper. It's people walking in the background, and then the train going going along there up on the train tracks, up on the elevated train tracks there. It's another look, kind of the first image, sort of this tranquil, peaceful kind of area. This is kind of a sort of expansion of the city, so they're doing a lot of construction work and stuff there, but behind this building, up under the bridge. So on the second one, a little bit of something going on with the train coming through. Not exactly an interesting moment. And then finally the third one that we just looked at, where you have kind of the train going through, a little more activity, a little more thing going on, trying to capture the hustle and bustle of Paris life. one of his other photos, Lovers in Budapest. Kind of interesting, where the lady here clearly, I guess, not into the public display of affections here, while the guy's clearly okay with that. So it's kind of a, weird, awkward moment that Carrots is capturing here in this photo. So as a viewer, how does it make you feel? It's kind of, she's already kind of a little bit awkward, tense, like, hey, there's probably aware that there's a guy standing there with the camera and she just kind of wants to hang out and he's trying to profess his love or, something along that lines. That took place. So it is, kind of awkward. And some of the times, artists, that's part of, their intentions, the sort of awkwardness that the viewer experiences. And then the satiric dancer, actually one of Carrots' friends, who's a performing dancer, took the photo, after kind of had a long day, and he's, trying to convince her to get up, strike a pose, or do something, and she's just worn out. It's like, fine, does this goofy little pose on the couch. So it's kind of, whimsical, silly type thing. Uh, and then Brossier, Paris at night, basically, what that translates to, from 33. And so with it, how do things appear at night? Taking into consideration lighting and the lighting effect, and what does that do to the image? What is that? What is that going to do for the photographic image? So the photo here, where in a way we kind of see the guy's face. It's kind of hard to see the lady's face because of the play with the lights and the shadows. Some of the photographs that he took, purposely not using a flash, so it's like you're purposely limiting your image quality in a way. It's going to be possibly a little more high contrast, a lot more deeper blacks and bright white areas, a little bit of shades of gray. So you have that you have to deal with. And at the same time, if your camera will even be able to capture that, 1931, you didn't quite have all the greatest of technology to capture some of the darker images. And so just, yeah, just night as an element that is working with. So how do people appear at night? How does night change the mood, change the setting? Uh, this one, lovers in a small cafe. So this time an interior view, kind of similar to the other photo that we saw by Carrots. In a way, it's similar, but this one's I guess you could say it's, kind of a little more fun in a way because they have the mirrors there reflecting the guy's face where normally he would be kind of unidentified in a way if the mirrors were not there because, from the most part, you're just seeing the back of his head, but that mirror gives, his reflection and kind of gives up his identity, who he is. So yeah, they're just, is it voyeuristic in a way? Is that something that we might question about some of these photos? Here again, the lovers are having their little moment together, and here's some guy coming along taking a picture. But at the same time, you probably, kind of thought about the idea that with the mirrors, this way, the guy kind of has his presence and his identity and not just an unknown. And the bijou of Montremer Cabaret, kind of the older retired, I guess I'm trying to, yeah, older retired dancer, still helping and running things. Uh, so maybe that idea, not wanting to give up the youth, wanting to uh, stay sort of current, sort of modern, wanting to keep up with modern times and everything like that. So uh, Ouija, an American photographer. Now his backstory, he's kind of interesting in that he drove around with a mannequin in his car, so that he basically could get away with stopping at like a no parking thing area where someone would see someone sitting in the car and they thought, okay, they're just waiting on someone, they're going to move along. Um, like I said, so he had a mannequin riding shotgun with him. The other thing, he had a police scanner in his car, so he was hearing about accidents and things like that going on. And during this time, technically, as a civilian, it was illegal to have one. And some of the times he would show up at these incidences. In this case, the picture of the victim of an auto accident. Some of the times he was known to show up before any of the first responders were showing up. And a few times he kind of got in trouble because he got caught repositioning bodies to get a better photograph. Um, so a lot of his work is capturing these moments. In this case, of an auto accident. I guess you could just say crime scene for a lot of his work that he was known for. So this one's kind of more like the this one's more sort of I guess tabloid kind of imagery compared to some of his other stuff. It's and then their first murder. One of the things he liked to do was to photograph the people that were the onlookers, to get kind of their reaction as well. what type of reaction would these people have uh, to what they were seeing. It's, again, more kind of tabloid type images, trying to get a picture of these two men being arrested. Of course, they have their the hat, so they get, cover their face. So trying to hide their identity, although we clearly know who they are in this case. And in this one, I cried when I took these pictures. Like I just said, part of his deal was to capture the moment. Kind of cheesy to say that, but that's what all these photos are about: capturing that moment, sharing that moment. So the we can experience it. At the same time, if you think about media types and everything, do they ever get caught up in all of this? What are they able to hide their emotions? Can you really be emotionless and not have any type of feelings with what's going on around you? So in this case, Ouija, clearly something devastating going on by the fire truck. Kind of see the top of a fireman behind the lady with the towel or whatever it is over her head. Um, so a fireman back there. So some type of devastating fire going on. So uh, Ouija, I cried too. So possibly it's hard for him to separate his emotions. So that's the end of the first part of the lecture. Make sure to watch lecture B.